Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit
Welcome on in. It is the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. Happy Friday to you. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. We are here live on YouTube, high noon Eastern time, every weekday, and then available wherever you get your podcasts. Today, we are talking draft, postmortem. Will Campbell, number 4 overall to the Patriots. Why we're not exactly sold on that one, plus the weird draft coverage and the slipping of Shedeur Sanders. What did you guys expect? Plus, Zach Burke will join us later. We are going to take a trip in the time machine to find the one play, the one sports moment in our lives that we would go back and change. All that coming up on this Friday edition of The Cam Show. Starting with, of course, the NFL draft. Man, it is my favorite TV event of the year. There's so much to poke holes in. There's so much that people are getting wrong. Every team is in it. It was the first time in like 60 years that everybody had their first round pick. It's a good time, man. And I just can't help but get enthralled by it and get really in depth, even when the Patriots aren't picking in the top 5 or even after the Patriots have picked in the top 5. But what I couldn't understand about this draft coverage was I'm sitting in there. The number 1 pick is on the clock. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock with the number 1 pick in the draft. And all I'm seeing on ESPN are highlights of Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, what is going on here? Why are they even talking about Shedeur? Shedeur's not going number 1. Everyone knows that. And they get like right before the pick is in, we barely heard word 1 about Cam Ward, the guy who's actually going to be the pick. And the pundits are around the table, asking, okay, is it going to be Shedeur or Cam Ward? I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then 2 out of the 3 say it should be Shedeur. I'm like, what is going on? It felt like a fever dream. I'm like, am I in the Twilight Zone? Nobody in their right mind has said Shedeur for months now. Shedeur's not even going to be taken as the next quarterback. Like, what? And now, of course, there's been momentum over the last, week or two that he's going to really slip, right? The interviews were terrible. There's people were saying it's some of the worst interviews they've ever heard. One assistant said, worst formal interview I've ever been to in my life. He's so entitled, takes unnecessary sacks, never plays on time, has horrible body language, blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. And I've got 2 of the 3 guys who are paid a lot of money to research this draft for months and months and months, and then sit up here live and give us the lowdown on every pick and every prospect, and they're saying that Shedeur Sanders is going to go number 1 overall? It's crazy. Like, it's crazy talk. Like, that's where you're sitting there as the average football fan or the barely above average football fan who has a YouTube show every day, thinking, do I know more about this draft than Mel Kiper does? Obviously no, but like, we've been following all these mock drafts and what the GMs are saying, what the assistant coaches are saying through reporters, how these interviews are going, looking at, the draft class by position. We've been doing this for a while, mainly to see what the Patriots are going to do. And we all knew that Shedeur was not going to be the guy. Like, that was a foregone conclusion a few weeks ago. Like, we gave up as Patriots fans, we gave up on the Travis Hunter thing weeks ago. And that's because no one was going to take Shedeur in the top 4. And I've got 2 of the 3 guys who are paid a lot of money to do this and research this saying it should be Shedeur here at number 1. I'm like, what is going on? It was so bizarre, man. And lo and behold, Shedeur Sanders is still available in round 2. Like, and of course, we can't find this in between. You either think Shedeur's a top 5 pick or you're a hater. Like, no, Shedeur was a very good college football player. His team didn't have enough around him for him to make a huge impact, right? They were like 1 game above 500, I think, in his career. But that's what he is. He's a good college football player. But as we go through the draft process, and all 32 teams have assessed him, they have said that he's not going to be a good pro. Every once in a while, they're wrong about that. Like Tom Brady, they were very wrong about that. But more often than not, they're right about the guys like Jimmy Clausen and Colt McCoy and Case Keenum and these guys who everyone loves in college. And leading up to the draft, there's still some momentum that they might be, first round picks. Even in the case of Jimmy Clausen, I mean, Mel Kiper put his career on that. He was like a mid-second round pick and started 2 games in the NFL. Like they are right about this stuff more often than not. So I couldn't believe that was the weirdest part of all of the NFL draft coverage for me. Even weirder than that outfit that Schefter had on was that they really thought, like they actually genuinely believed that Deion Sanders' kid, Shedeur, as I almost say Deion, that Shedeur was going to go number 1 overall. It was weird. I don't know if there's some kind of vested interest in getting the Sanders family on TV more. I don't know, but it was bizarre, very bizarre. And I think the other big takeaway was the trade at number 2. Because Jacksonville, I think it's a good look for the Jags to show that much effort and commitment to get into the number 2 pick in the draft. And initially, I had this thought of like, oh man, if I were the Patriots, would I have done that? Would I have done, probably not. But I understand where the Jags are coming from. It's a huge risk to give up another number 1 pick, which could possibly be a top 5 pick again next year. But my big takeaway was what did Cleveland not like about Travis Hunter? What did Cleveland know? How many of Travis Hunter's teammates went to his birthday party? Okay. What did the Browns know here? Because they probably weren't going to draft Abdul Carter. I know Myles Garrett is older, but they just made a big financial commitment to him to re-sign him. So they probably weren't going Abdul Carter. And they ended up going with a defensive tackle. It's a little bit different from Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett. But the only guy they would have really picked at number 2 was Travis Hunter. And they liked the Michigan defensive tackle instead, Graham. They liked him more. Moonlight Graham. So I don't know. That was odd. I'm like, I would take Travis Hunter over just about anybody in this draft. And this isn't the best draft of all time, but I thought that was odd. And then the Patriots picked at 4. And at this point, Hunter and Carter predictably off the board. And you know where they're going to go. They're not trading back. You know where they're going to go. And that is the pick. Will Campbell, tackle, LSU. To say that I'm excited about the pick would be disingenuous. I've said it for weeks. I've been very skeptical of this. We have these standards for a reason. And as a lifelong fan, I hate being the guy that's like, well, they don't hit this measurable. because, Brady didn't hit a lot of the measurables, or Rajon Rondo on the basketball side didn't hit a lot of the measurables. Isaiah Thomas, the second one. But at some point, I go back to that Bill Parcells quote, like, you can make an exception, but if you stray or deviate away from the standards, then you have a team full of exceptions. And that's just not the way we want it. Not the way you want it, especially in a rebuild when you're trying to build culture. On the flip side of that, Will Campbell does fit a lot of the culture kind of things that Mike Vrabel wants. But the bottom line is, you have not had a starting tackle in this league in a generation, a quarter century, since 1999, to have arms that short. And you're taking a guy with arms that short, not only to be a starting tackle, but you're taking it with a top 5 pick in the draft. I hate to agree with the guy. Worst person makes a great point, but Mike Felger made a great point this week. Everyone was out on him when we saw the measurements of the arms 6 weeks ago. But now you hear how much the Patriots like him, and everyone's on board now. It's a weird feeling. And the kid has never played guard in his life. He's always been a tackle. So it's kind of a rush to judgment to say he's going to be a great guard, if not a good tackle, right? I think there's absolutely room for that because, look, the kid's a good football player. Let's not get it twisted. He's just not big enough to play tackle, probably. And so if he is a premium guard and you are in contention 2-3 years from now, then it's a good pick. I think Will Campbell will probably be a stalwart in your offensive line in some capacity for the next 8 to 10 years, which at the bottom line, that's a good place to be in the first round. It's just not a good place to be with the number 4 pick. That's all. And to pick him at number 4, I think is also a part of the issue. Mike Vrabel came out and said there was no trade offers for number 4. That seems probably like something that's more lip service than reality. Maybe not something that was great, but to say that there was no offers, it seems odd. There was a lot of buzz leading up to draft day that someone would trade up to get Ashton Genty. I think he was picked right after that at 5 or 6. Cleveland picked at 5 and picked the Michigan kid. So I just saw Will Campbell as a guy that would be available there 7, 8, or 10. And I think Banks went number 8, so maybe that was a bit of a stretch. But I think you could have gotten your starting tackle outside of number 4 and got some good draft capital out of it. So, look, I'll say this: the post draft interview, the post pick interview, Will Campbell, he might have won me over a little bit. This is where it's still just the fan in me, man. Like it's total like cheesy, corny sports movie bullshit, but I'm kind of in. He gets real emotional and then brings the house down in this interview.
I've worked my entire life to be up here, to be able to get my name called by a franchise like New England. It means everything to me.
We can feel that. We absolutely can feel that, Will. You are brought to New England to protect Drake Maye. What kind of tone are you going to set on this offensive line?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I've got.
Congratulations, Will.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, baby. Will Campbell, baby. We're all in now. Hell yeah, man. Football guy. Dudes rock. I'm even willing for him to be a guard after that. Hell yeah, brother. Die for Drake Maye. I'll die for Drake Maye. You gonna die for Drake Maye? That's what he's gonna be saying to everyone in that offensive line room. He's gonna be grabbing by the helmet. Who's ready to die today? Hell yeah. You kind of get in after that, right? Those silky smooth pipes that all you New Englanders, I'm still a New Englander, but all the New Englanders are making fun of now, that beautiful Monroe, Louisiana accent. I love it, man. And what's really too bad is apparently this is lost media. I can't find it anywhere YouTube, social media, nowhere. And that is, before that, one of the first questions they asked him was, about the organization, the Patriots. And he had said at one point afterwards that that's where he always wanted to go. It didn't exactly work with Mac Jones, basically said the same thing. But they asked him about the organization, and he says in that beautiful accent, he goes, in that beautiful accent of his, he goes, "Look, that logo speaks for itself." And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go, man. Come on. So he won a lot of us over in that. I'll say that. And to get more positive with the pick, this guy, Kent Lee Platt, who does a lot of advanced analytics, especially with draft stuff, he says Will Campbell was drafted in round 1, pick 4 in the 25 draft class. He has a 9.191 RAS, which is this kind of almost athleticism score out of a possible 10. This ranked 15th out of 1,500 offensive tackles taken in the last 40 years. So that's pretty good. Like, the grades are still pretty good. The big question that I'm hearing this morning, and I think is the biggest question with Will Campbell, is you could do it in the SEC. We all know that's great college football, but it's not the pros. And when you've got, this speed and power coming at you off the edge in the pro game versus the college game, once that person just gets a little bit by you, there's just nothing he can do. He's not a wide-framed guy. He doesn't have the long arms. Some guys can get away with that and get to a pass rusher who has already somewhat beat them. Will Campbell can't. He's got to be perfect. So, look, there's still a lot of concerns there, but the Patriots did not have a shot, really, at either of the two blue-chip prospects in the draft, and they got the number 1 tackle prospect in the draft. And when you look at the free agency and the first round combined, you vastly improved your defense, specifically your defensive line. You got that second corner in Carlton Davis. We'll see how healthy he is. You got some weapons for Drake Maye. I know nothing earth-shattering with Mac Hollins and Stephon Diggs. Hopefully has a little bit more left in the tank. And then you went out and used a premium draft pick on an offensive tackle. Your left tackle has been a big question mark for years now, and you have not used premium draft capital to fix that. This year you did. At least that's what you think. And maybe Doug Marrone can actually mold this kid into a big-time left tackle. Hasn't been done with arms like this ever, being a big-time left tackle, being an all-pro, being a Pro Bowler. But who knows, man? There's a first time for everything. And when you talk about the needs that this team had that Mike Vrabel is addressing, obviously offensive line, and with every position they're looking for culture fit, Will Campbell checks both those boxes. I wouldn't have minded if they had traded back and Will Campbell wasn't there and they took Kelvin Banks. I don't think he's that far off. But anyway, it's fine. It's a fine pick. It's not the sexy pick. It's not, the most exciting pick. It's not the shock pick. It's the safe pick. And it's probably pretty good. And I'm rooting for him. Like, I want Will Campbell to be the franchise left tackle. I really do. And I do get caught up in some of that cheesy crap sometimes. But the kid putting that out there and saying you're going to die for your quarterback and the logo speaks for itself, you better be ready to back it up. You better be ready to back it up because, the memes already write themselves that this kid stinks. So I happen to believe that he is going to do everything to back this up. So I give it a B. A lot of the experts are feeling the same way. At least the local ones who don't look past the fact that it's just like, oh, Patriots need a tackle. Let's just give them this guy, right? Like the guys who actually have gone through and sifted through all this. NBC Sports Boston, A-, The Athletic, an A, USA Today Sports, an A, Fox Sports, B+. Yahoo B+, CBS B-. So it's not like you're getting this generational talent that sometimes you can get inside the top 5. This isn't the draft for that. Will Campbell, I'm rooting for you, pal. I really am. I love the accent. I love the attitude. I love the fact that you actually want to play for this team. Because most of the guys in the league don't. And I'm sure most of the guys in the draft class don't. So let's go to work, man. If you're willing to die out there for Drake Maye, that might be what it takes when you look at the rest of the offensive line that you have, brother. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this the right pick, or did Mike Vrabel just fumble his first draft pick as the head coach of the New England Patriots? Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Only about 10% of you watching are actually subscribed to the channel. We're bringing you nothing but Boston sports content every weekday. So hit that subscribe button, join the community here. And we are here live on YouTube 5 days a week. And then wherever you get your podcasts, check out the other videos on the channel that's going over everything in Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air every weekday. Coming up, we're going to bring Zach into the fold, and we're going to take a little trip in the sports time machine for the number one moment in your sports fandom that you would go back in time to change. And I'll give you a hint, Patriots fans, you're going to be mentioned again. You might want to stick around for it. That's coming up next on The Cam Show.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science, take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com.
And now, back to our show.
To the Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network, rounding things out on a Friday. So that's when we take Zach out of his cage. He's feeling just fine. We let him talk to the public when we're at the end of the week.
Despite all my rage. Yeah.
Something like that. I was going for a different song, but I knew what you mean. And so what we've done is we've started to do these new topics where we can actually get Zach in on the party. He's not a Boston guy, so we get him in on the fun here. And this is a tweet I saw this week that I think any sports fan can relate to. And that is, if you could travel back in time, change one play, this is important, Zach, not one game, one play from your favorite sports team's history, which play would you choose? Now, this had me thinking all week, like total brain in a pretzel. I ended up like writing it down, which play I would do for each team that I root for. There's so many, and I had to narrow it down to just one. But before I get to mine, because I had a couple of different tracks here, Zach, I would love to hear what your play is. You've lived a little longer than me. You've had less championships than me.
Yeah,
I want to know what is the play for you.
So that's the thing is I wonder if we'll have some of the shared like same tracks that we go through, because when we talked about this and we texted about this, I immediately went team to team and I was trying to think like, all right, who would it be for this team? Who would it be for that team? And then I was going to try to like rank them out of like what one stung the most. And it was oddly a lot easier than I thought after I sat down and did it that way, because I was just sitting here and thinking through all my teams. A Houston Rockets fan, 2 titles. Aside from that, the closest they've gotten back to something just like really big, I would say was and we talked about it, with the 2017, I think 2018 conference finals against the Warriors. Game 7, Chris Paul doesn't play. I think that if Chris Paul plays, it's a different outcome, but that's a whole game. That doesn't fall into that criteria.
Can't take away the 27 straight misses.
Exactly. You can't, as much as you want to. And even if they get past that, that doesn't guarantee a win in the finals.
Sure.
As much as I think that it might.
I like the way you're thinking about this.
So I had thoughts like that. I thought football, Texans haven't even come close, but I had the same thought, like, oh, maybe there's a play in one of those AFC title games against the Ravens, or I'm pretty sure there wasn't one against the Patriots. Those were bloodbaths, but that, it could have changed the way it turned out, and the Texans are in the Super Bowl, but again, doesn't promise them the Super Bowl. So I'm racking my head and I'm thinking football more and more. And this is where I came to my first one. And I thought, before I was a Texans fan, I was an Oilers fan, and they were the Tennessee Titans. And there was a play in a Super Bowl against the Rams. Kevin Dyson was so short. And I thought, man, as a kid, like that one, that stung, that hit me really hard. And then as I sat there and I thought about it, and I thought that, no, Zach, you're a Texans fan. Fuck the Tennessee Titans. I'm glad they lost that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick that one. And instead I focused on the one that for sure hit me. And I'm wearing the hat that discourages it because they won one since then. But that was a little World Series that the Texas Rangers played against the St. Louis Cardinals. Specifically Game 6 of the 2011 I have the play of the 2011 World Series. A lot of people will look at Nelson Cruz misplaying a Neftali Feliz pitch there in the ninth to tie it up.
That's what I would look at. Yeah.
That's not the one I'm looking at.
Really?
I would also argue, because I would argue
that's one strike away from winning the World Series. And if he catches it, you win the World Series.
It is, but I'm gonna come at you with a different one.
Okay, all right.
Also, people might argue. I would also say that that Nelson Cruz was never a great fielder, and you kind of knew that. But also, Neftali Feliz kind of grooved one to Pujols in there a little bit too. There's a bunch of different aspects to it. Anyway, it's tied up. You go back up again after this, right?
Yep.
It ends up leading to some David Freese heroics late, and David Freese to become the most hated man in Texas Rangers history. But I would argue that there is a play in the bottom of the 10th that you were close to getting it done there. Scott Feldman is on the mound, and one Lance Berkman is up to bat. You had a 2-2 count with 2 outs, runners on first and second. If you don't give up the bloop, it's not tied. It doesn't go into the bottom of the 11th.
So once again,
gets the hit.
Once again, down to their last strike.
Yes,
twice.
You were down to your last strike, and it happened twice. I know everybody wants to go with the first one. I would argue, like, that one pitch right there. If it doesn't, like, he bloops it perfectly right to where nobody is. And, like, that's Lance Berkman. Lance Berkman had a knack for doing that. But 2-2, give him something a little more outside. See if he's going to reach for it. Like, come on, man. There's a lot you can do in this pitch right here, instead of just, look, it's like right there in the zone.
Yeah, Napoli set him up in. He didn't miss the spot. It's just a bad approach.
And so I would just argue that, you had the chance to win it there. You don't do it.
And if you do it, if you get it the second time, like let's say that is the last out, then it's kind of who else but the Rangers? They almost blow it. It's almost this crazy moment, but then they end up getting the job done. You almost weirdly appreciate it even more, even though it's still the first World Series in history of the Rangers. But ouch, man, that's tough.
Now, thankfully for Scott Feldman, it just tied it up. so he didn't lose the game.
Someone else did.
Someone else did. And he went on to still pitch for another 6 years afterwards, had some ups and downs. And I'm not even trashing Scott Feldman as a pitcher. But if you just look at it there to Lance Berkman, and I just say, just try a little bit. And some of that could be framing on Napoli too. I mean, we talk about it.
Wasn't a catcher much longer after that, by the way.
He wasn't.
For whatever that's worth.
Well, he got his World Series with the Red Sox afterwards, and then was gone. Yeah. But still. So I look at there were multiple, I feel like, plays from that game that I can pick. So I'm gonna take the Feldman blooper to Berkman.
But everyone zigs with the David Freese triple off Delson Cruz's glove. You zag with that. I like that. But I think I like your thought process too. Like when we're talking about one play, we're almost throwing out like the potential of it, which is going to get me into my outtake here, my honorable mention. You want the absolute of it. If you're talking to a Seattle Seahawks fan, there's no doubt what they're going to do. Like if you don't throw that pick at the goal line, you're winning the Super Bowl. I mean, there's some potential there. You're at the 1 yard line, but like you're going to win the thing. So that's where I picked. So initially, my first thought, because it's probably recency bias, because the Bruins have given me more of the heartbreaking losses than pretty much any of the other teams. Now they've won the cup. They've been pretty good in my lifetime. I know that, but they have failed at the highest levels more than the other teams. And the first thing that came to my mind was in 2023, Game 7 against the Florida Panthers. They had the best regular season of all time, man, and they were getting one last bite at the apple for a couple of their legends, right? Marchand's probably not coming back after this year, but Bergeron and Krejci retire after this game. They had the most wins in history. They had the most points in history. They were up 3-1 against the Panthers, and they're down 2-0 in Game 7, by the way. They come back. They take a 3-2 lead in the third period. Pasternak scores, and to say pins and needles would be an absolute understatement of the century. I've never been as nervous during a game in my life because I'm like, there's some black magic shit here. Something is going to happen. And lo and behold, Brandon Montour scores to tie Game 7 in the final minute. And at that point, it's just this existential dread. Bruins, Game 7, home game, overtime. I've seen this movie way too many times. They're not going to win. And they don't win. Carter Verhaeghe scores the game winner, which I don't include on it because the game tire is what would have, they would have won. They would have won the series. And I went with some potential off that because I think if they get past this series, they legitimately win the cup. The first round is notoriously hard for a lot of teams, not named the Leafs this year. For NHL teams, like that's the series, that's the round that most likely goes to 7 games. And so it happened in 2011. They beat Montreal in 7 games in overtime. And it was like total, like fingernail biting, all this shit. And they went on to win the cup.
That's the less cool of the two checks, by the way.
Yes, for sure. I'll agree with that. 2013, they made the final. They went Game 7 in the first round. 2019, they made the final. They went to Game 7 in the first round. So I'm like, if they just get past this, they're going to win it. They're too good, and it didn't happen. So that was my initial thought. That's not even my pick, by the way. It's a long way of saying not my pick because I start going through the teams, and then by the 4th team I go over because they haven't like really crushed me in a big moment recently because it's been a while, but they've had a lot of big moments in my lifetime. No doubt, though. February 3rd, 2008, Super Bowl 42. You look no further than the helmet catch. Like that has to be the pick for anyone of my generation, my age, living in that area. Like there's no doubt. And hear me out, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, spoiled! You got 6 other Super Bowls," and I did. Okay, but look at this shit. Look at this fucking shit, man. And to go on to that, like, let's add some more context that people forget about that because people are like, "Oh, David Tyree helmet catch, it's great." It was 4th and 5. With the Patriots winning deep in the 4th quarter. This is on the game-winning touchdown drive. It was 4th and 5, and Eli is dead to rights The pocket is completely collapsed. They're pulling at his jersey. They have him, Zach. For one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the history of football, they fucking have him. And he gets away. He heaves it down the field to a guy who had like 5 catches in his whole career. And he makes this. And so all that is already built up to it. But then look at this.
Yeah.
All Rodney Harrison needs to do, snub for the Hall of Fame right now, one of the great defensive backs of his generation, just knock that shit, hit it, fucking anything. Just look at how close it is to falling out of his hands. Instead, he catches it. Plaxico Burress scores the touchdown. The Giants win. And yes, I had a lot of other Super Bowls to celebrate, but if this shit does not happen, this is unequivocally the greatest football team of all time, and maybe the best of any of the 4 professional sports, to go 19-0 and win the Super Bowl in the most perilous era of any sport. It's the sport with the most parity in the era with the most parity. It seemed to have been. It's crushing, man. It's fucking crushing, man.
There's 2 things I would like to
I'm
add.
still not over it. I was 10, not over it.
I get that. There's things that I hang on to. I was mad at Mac Brown forever for thinking Chris Sims was a better start than Major Applewhite in the Big 12 title game. But there were 2 things that I wanted to bring up about that, and I can't remember what the second one was now. Maybe it'll come to me as I start with the first one. But you talk about that, and I'm not trying to make it hurt even more, but it's funny because I didn't know until we had talked about it a few months back with Malcolm Butler and like practices that week for how he wasn't able to make the play that he needed to, right?
Yeah.
I heard something recently, and it's from one of those like NFL Network like documentaries they did. I'm pretty sure it might have been from Eli himself, where he was talking about like the practice before the Super Bowl. He was like, David Tyree had the worst practice ever. He could not catch anything. He was like, I left that thinking I don't want to throw anything to him. And it was one of those things like, and like you have moments like that though, and you think like, okay, so it's like when that moment comes, like those guys are able to make it, click and all that.
One of the, to add on to this, by the way, as kind of the surrealness of that game and that event is, I mean, I'm kind of a sore loser even still as I'm getting close to 30 here. I was 10 when that happened. So you can imagine what it was then. Like, once my team is out, like, I don't give a shit who's winning or what the storyline is. I don't fucking care. All right. I'm bitter. I'm pissed. But at age 10, it's even worse, 10-year-old. Yeah. And even at that time, I knew once that happened, I was like, fuck, man. We're never going to see the end of this. Like, this is one of the great upsets in the history of sports. Like, everyone in America is happy. This is, I guess, it's a great thing for the league. It's a great thing for sports. I mean, not that the NFL needs any help, right? But even at the time and that day, I still remember it clear as day. That Super Bowl Sunday, it was unseasonably warm in Massachusetts, which means it was like high 40s, low 50s. I was out playing basketball in my driveway in my white Teddy Bruschi jersey, and we had these people that lived across the street. The guy was kind of a douchebag, and he was from New York. And he was a loser, and his wife was pretty successful. She owned the house, and he moved in. They were still dating at the time, but they had a Super Bowl party as well. Everyone was having a Super Bowl party, except theirs was full of Giants fans. And I remember them filing in, and like the guy in a Plaxico Burress jersey and everything, they're all wearing Giants shit. And I'm like laughing at them. Like, why are you even playing this up? Like, this is going to be miserable for you. Like, you have no fucking chance. And the pregame, they were talking about how loose the Giants were all week. And, a media day, they're playing cards and wearing sunglasses, Antonio Pierce and all these guys. And I'm like, this is feeding into exactly what have made the Patriots great. Like, just bring this shit on. And it's surreal to look back at now that even as a 10-year-old, I was like, wow, we're never going to see the end of this.
No, and we won't. Like, that's something that, like, I know it's weird. There's little moments that I have, and you might have it one day if you choose to. And it's just like they don't happen a lot, but it's things that I'll think about and be like, of where it's like these moments that you think of like, oh, that's something that like I'll have to tell my like not like I'll have to, but like I think
You'll
about
be telling your
sports
kids
sometimes.
about. Yes.
Exactly. And it's those
Yes.
like, oh, okay, those are big enough moments to be like, I want to tell you about this player. I want to tell you about this thing. And that catch is one of those things. You're right. And it sucks for you. It absolutely sucks for you because of that. I can tell you, and I do have a Boston question that is tied into that I want to end with. But the game 6 is the only time in my entire life that I've had a sporting event cause me to kind of just lay on the floor in the fetal position. It wasn't
that's what the Panthers game was like for me, by the way, at age 25 or so.
And and it's just like, because it was when Freeze gets the go ahead or the homer to win it at the end. And I just fall down in the fetal position and I'm laying there. And I remember the guy who worked with me, because I wasn't even scheduled to work that night. I was there to like record something else at the radio station. And so I walked in because it was like it had gone into extras and I didn't want to leave and miss it. So I was in the studio while he was producing it. And so I remember the board op at the time telling me like, hey, game 7's tomorrow, man. And I just remember being
the worst thing you could hear.
They lost it. I go, it doesn't matter. They already lost it. Like I knew right there. You don't, how do you match that momentum that the Cardinals had? Anyway.
By the way, real quick on that, because I had that similar experience. It was not the game 6. So, but that Bruins thing felt the same way. Like I was just on the floor staring into nothing. And this is going to sound so fucking crazy to 99.5% of the people, and maybe even to you too as well, Zach, because this is, I know what I'm about to say is psychotic and it's certifiably insane. But we talk about those great moments we have as sports fans and being like, oh yeah, I can't wait to tell my kids about this.
Yeah.
There's some moments like that fucking crush you, and you are so inescapable in the sports fandom. You know that it's never fully going to turn around. You're never fully going to not care about these teams. And when something that brutal happens, I will have the thought of, I don't even want kids. I don't want, because I know what they're going to be. My dad was the same way. His dad was the same way. I'm way more intense, I guess, than they were about it and are about it. But like, I can't move on from this shit. It haunts me, and I'd be in a bad mood because of how some guys fucking throw a ball around or wave a piece of lumber. You know, I don't want my kids buying into this. And the only option is to not have children. Like there are some sports moments that are like that I'm like, fuck, I don't want to expose children to this.
See, but I love the true fandom that you have there, because your thought
it's a sickness, man. It's a fucking illness.
It is, but your thought process isn't, maybe I should dial that back down. It's like, no, I don't need to have kids.
It's like it's too late, man. It's too late. I'm way too into this. And like my dad is a big time sports fan, but maybe it is having kids and having a family and a life, but like he can move on from that. He would look at that helmet catch and be like, yeah, but we won 3 other ones. I can't do that. I can't. It sucks. So anyway,
something has clicked for me. I don't know if it's the older I got or if it was being away from having to cover it all the time. So not doing that. Like I took a good moment of where I just like just unplugged. Just unplugged from sports in general for a few years. And that kind of like maybe refreshed me. So now like, it doesn't crush me as much as it did. But no, the Boston one, and maybe this is something we save for a Friday conversation some point another time. But
as we round it out here,
as we round it out, it's about that season, because you say that would have made them the greatest team of all time.
Yes,
I would argue though, weren't the Miami Dolphins just 17-0?
Yeah, they were.
I get that.
I'm ready for this. Yeah,
it's not the Super Bowl is the one that they lost. But in the grand scheme of things, for a season, it's not the Patriots' fault that they play more games there. They technically won more games in a row, undefeated, without the 1972, or than the 1972 Miami Dolphins did. I do understand it is a big, like, all right, they didn't win the Super Bowl at the end, and nobody wants to be excited about 18-1.
Yeah.
But the way that the Dolphins, that team in general, because it would be other teams before that Patriots team of when they would come close and they're like, oh no, they're not as good as us. But essentially it's just, they didn't win the big one, but they won more games in a row. It's just how you look.
Yes. So two things on this. First off, the 72 Dolphins, right? They're the undefeated 17-0.
Yeah.
There's so many holes you can poke into it. Like, and again, 17-0 and 17-0. Like, I'm not saying they're outside of like a top 5 team of all time, but they had this ridiculous schedule where they played like 4 teams with a winning, or 5 teams with a winning record the whole regular season. Like they played a bunch of fucking nobodies, and this is pre salary cap / free agency era. So it is a lot different. I don't want to like totally denigrate them with that, but when you look at, for me, the 85 Bears are probably the best team ever. And a total great one-off team of 15-1, just totally dominant all the way through. But to your point, and I think about this a lot, pound for pound, the 2007 Patriots are at worst the second best team, I think, ever. And that being with the 85 Bears. Mm-hmm. So yes, they don't win the Super Bowl. And if that's the argument you want to make, I don't have much of a leg to stand on. They didn't win the Super Bowl. But that team dominated the league, and just the roster. I mean, one of the greatest offenses of all time. Pretty damn good defense too. Yeah. It is one of the 2 or 3 greatest teams ever put on a football field. And so, yes, I get it. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but if you're going to be one of those ones that tells me, oh, at best they're only the 60th best team of all time because there's been 59 Super Bowls, it's like, I can't hear that. I'm sorry. And I think NFL Network did a top 10 and they still had the 07 Patriots as their best team ever.
Yeah, no,
you can't argue with it. Like if they played whatever, they beat 55 Super Bowl champions.
Oh yeah. No, like that's the thing is you played that Super Bowl 9 more times. And I guarantee you, like, at least 8 out of those 9 times that Patriots team's winning, they were the better team.
Yes.
That's not to say that the Giants don't deserve the win and they didn't go out there and get that win.
They
but they did. But I fully believe, and I agree with you, that the Patriots were the better team there. That's what happens. You can go through and we can look at World Series, NBA Finals, Super Bowls, whatever you want to pick. And there's a lot of times where the better team did not win that. So especially in the case of football when it's a 1 game.
Absolutely. It happens all the time. You don't raise banners for it, but when we're coming down to this brass tacks argument, anyway.
Yeah, it's just a thought I have about that, because I would argue that I think obviously that Patriots team
19-0 would have been undisputed. Man.
Oh, for sure.
So good. Anyway, that's my moment. I know every sports fan has one. I had one for every team. Maybe I'll bring that up on next week. I'll just run through the one when we're searching to kill some time.
Yeah,
maybe I'll do that. But
do you ever have? Sorry, and I'm cutting you off. We were trying to close the show out, and that's on me. But do you ever have those moments of where there's things, and this is another one too, where you wish would have happened? Not like a play of that, but like I wish Michael Jordan would not have retired, or I'm sorry, played baseball for that moment and not have been forced by the league to sit out to go do anything. And we could have gotten a Bulls Rockets finals desperately. I so desperately want that, because
I don't know if that's what I would have been searching for if I were you, but yeah.
No, okay. I know. No, I get that. And I know it's a weird thing, but even if they came out and they just beat the Rockets' ass, that's completely fine too. I just hate the whole, we won't know because it won't.
I'll bring your Rockets back into this. I wish the Celtics played the Lakers in the 86 finals, because they would have beaten the Lakers. They would have beaten anybody on the planet. They would have beaten that Lakers team, and it would have been it would have ended 2-2 in the finals matchups in the 80s. And it doesn't add an extra championship to the Celtics. It just puts some more luster on that. There's a couple of those where you're like, I'd rather have had that matchup or whatever. Yeah. So
all right,
anyway.
I'm going to leave so you can.
All right. That's the Cam Show. That is the week in the Cam Show. Let me know what you guys have as the one sports moment you would go back in history to change. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are here every weekday live at high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcast. Thank you to Zach Burke. Thank you to all of those of you watching. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. We will see you on Monday on the Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.